Hello to all you Patriots out there in podcast land, and welcome to episode 245 of Canadian Patriot Podcast, the number one live podcast in Canada. We're recording tonight's Scandal on July 15th, 2020. As always, my name is Andrew. Joining me tonight is Gavin.
And we'd love to hear your feedback about the show, so please visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com/feedback or email us at feedback@CanadianPatriotPodcast.com. Version of the show is available on Stitcher and iTunes. And you can also check us out on the socialist of medias at Facebook.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast and Instagram at Instagram.com/Canadian Patriot Podcast.
We need your help to support the show. Visit patreon.com/CPP and become a Patreon today. You get a better quality version of the show for just $1 per episode. And since we moved to the 2-show-a-week COVID format, Patreons also get early access to the midweek show. Show you're not a communist and buy a CPP t-shirt for just $19.99 plus shipping and theft. Visit CanadianPatriotPodcast.com homepage and follow the link all the way over there on the right. Time for my favorite segment. It's called What Are We Drinking? It's where I ask my co-host Gavin, what are you drinking?
I am drinking Havana Club and cherry Kool-Aid this evening.
Of course you are.
I mean, it's communist and red.
I honestly, it doesn't sound unappealing. I would go for some cherry Kool-Aid and
It's
red.
actually
That's not
quite good, although I think I might have to name this like the Trudeau or something like that. Ironically, of course.
Of course.
Yeah. There you go. I think I've named it the Trudeau Havana Club and cherry Kool-Aid.
I don't know. It sounds like kind of summertimey. That sounds pretty like it
Yeah,
sounds
no,
pretty good.
Yeah, can confirm.
I'm going to be drinking what's left of Dairy Queen Blizzard because my wife took me for an ice cream before we did the show.
You were a good boy today.
My wife is better than everyone else's wife. We don't really have news tonight. I mean, we kind of do, but we only have one topic. It's a topic show. I had some other news, but I don't want to talk about it. So we're just going to go straight to the... Pardon me, we're going to go straight to the We Charity. I have a bunch of news articles from a bunch of sources over the last couple of weeks. At a high level, I think what I think we'll do is we'll do a background on what this was about. We'll do a background on who's involved. And then we can talk about some of the implications of that, because there's a lot of stuff.
The shorter list might be who's not involved. But
it's a list, all right.
Yeah.
So, We Charity is the charitable arm of the Me to We company. Company, I guess, is the right word for it. Me to We is a for-profit company that sells lifestyle products, and it's owned by two brothers, Craig and Mark Kyleberger, something like that. I call him Kyleberger. I don't think that's actually how you say their name, but I'm going to call them Craig and Mark Kyleberger. We Charity is the charitable arm of their organization. These guys are worth like millions, hundreds of millions of dollars. One of them wrote a book or something when he was in like the 10th grade and managed to get it published, and now they have like a lifestyle brand company. So
makes total sense.
They have a charitable arm now, which is the We Charity. This operates all over the world, predominantly in North America, but they're also affiliated with the UN. They've done big events in San Francisco. They've done big events in Toronto. Just before Sophie Trudeau got boned by Idris Elba, got sick with the coronavirus from boning Idris Elba. Just before Sophie Trudeau got sick, she was in London at a We Charity public event where she got boned by Idris Elba.
Weird. Trudeau is a big fan of a charity that has connections to the UN.
I know. Shocking, right?
Wow.
So, I don't know what these guys are about. They're supposed to be some kind of like charity entrepreneurs. I guess they're using their lifestyle brand in their books to I don't know, give money to other people. I guess they also do leadership training and something that they call travel experiences, but I honestly am not sure what that means.
I don't know. Maybe it's like that rich guy that paid to send all the kids to Israel.
No, this is more like they send volunteers to developing countries for reasons. I think they're helping to build schools and wells and things, but I'm really not.
That doesn't sound like travel experience to me. I'm not saying what they're doing is bad. I'm just saying that seems like a not appropriately named thing.
Yeah, so I don't know if there's more involved in it than the volunteer trips or what. But I guess this is a fairly big deal, and these two people, the brothers Kyleberger, are well liked by both the elite liberal and conservative politicians in this country, as well as by politicians around the world, because, you know, they're being given millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah. I mean...
So how this got involved into being in the news and how the Trudeau family is involved in this is the cabinet had decided that the Canada Summer Student Grant Program should be administered by We Charity because they were the only organization that was capable of running it. I find that already to be questionable.
Yeah.
This is the only charity. So friends of rich liberal and conservative politicians, friends of various member states of the UN, people who have built a lifestyle brand on training and building schools in developing countries, is the only charity in Canada that can administer the Canada Summer Student Grant Program. It's almost like we didn't have any government agencies that run the existing Canada Summer Jobs Program.
Yeah.
Because that's a government-funded, government-run program. So I'm a little bit surprised.
Well, like the one thing that like our current government is, and I hate using this word, but good at, is giving away money. And here they are with an opportunity to give away money, and they say that they're not the best people to do this, and that this charity is not necessarily like one of the possibilities, but the only possibility to give away money.
Right. So right off the bat, I'm a little bit suspicious about that. So the Canada Summer Student Grant Program was slated as being $900 million. That's a lot of cash.
Yeah.
And the way that it works, at least the way that I understand that it was going to work when it was being run by We, although it is slightly different now, and we did talk about this once on the show before when I had read about it the first time, and I was like, what in the actual, what is this? How? Yeah. So I got some more details that we didn't have. Yeah. Well, we talked about the numbers not matching because it was like a $900 million program, and the thing that was originally in the news that was kind of like, I don't know, scandalous maybe isn't the right word, but the thing that was suspect with it when it was originally in the news was that they were paying teachers. The We Charity was going to be like hiring teachers to be paid recruiters and then oversee the students in the summer. And then they were going to pay the students some money between $1,000 and $5,000, depending on how much they volunteered. And the numbers didn't line up. I forget what the numbers were, and somebody needs to go back and like watch the episode and tell me. But I feel like we were like hundreds of millions of dollars short between what the government was giving this charity and what they were actually going to be forking out based on the number, like the maximum number of students that the program would accept.
Yeah.
And on top of that, they were paying all of these teachers to volunteer to be supervisors.
That doesn't sound like volunteering.
No, and there was like a bounty program. So if the teachers recruited students, that was like how they would get to be supervisors, because they had to recruit like their own students to do this. And it was different whether they were rural or urban teachers. There was different quotas. But I think they were getting somebody again is going to have to go back and call me a liar. I think they were giving out $10,000 per summer per teacher that was administering this program, and they were talking about like hundreds of teachers doing it.
I would like to have a program that's a bounty program with quotas, but it wouldn't be for this.
For legal reasons, that's a joke.
Yes. The joke.
Very funny joke. So I did some more interning on this. The grant program is actually a grant program. So you have to be an eligible post-secondary student or recent graduate. I think a recent post-secondary graduate, but it's kind of unclear. I know, a liberal program that's not clear. Shocking.
Yeah, it has such a high barrier to entry to get money.
For every 100 hours of student time spent volunteering, $1,000 would go towards the cost of their education, their post-secondary education, up to a maximum of $5,000. So basically, we're giving them a $10 an hour grant that can be used towards their tuition. Doesn't seem awful. Seems like it'd be a lot better to just go get a job and work minimum wage, but okay, sure.
Yeah.
I'm really not sure what the point of this program is other than to separate me from my tax dollars.
I think that's exactly the point.
Right? Because, like, if you want to get money for your college education, why not just
get a job that pays minimum wage, which is $4 more an hour?
Yeah, isn't minimum wage in Ontario is $14 an hour now, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I don't know what the deductions are on minimum wage, but even if you lose 30%, isn't that still more than $10 an hour?
I believe so, yeah. I mean, 30% on $10 would be $3. So
yeah, I mean, so maybe it's not quite.
I mean, you're still ahead though, right? Like you're still making at least 11 and change.
And it's on every hour that you work, not on this where it's like up to 500 hours, which is not that many hours. A full-time employee works about 2,000 hours a year.
Yeah,
right? Like that's a normal full-time equivalency, 8-hour work days, 5 days a week. That's about 2,080 hours a year.
And to answer Benny's comment in the questions here, or answer his question in the comments, that's the one. It doesn't go up to 15 because Ford stopped that.
Yeah, Dougie in our corner again. Because every time they raise the minimum wage, my wage continues to not go up. But everything somehow costs me more.
Yeah, that's called inflation.
Well, I mean, inflation is a hidden tax on your wealth. This is another thing. This is the devaluing of our currency through other means. This isn't, I mean, strictly speaking, this is not inflation, although this is one of those things that causes inflation.
Yeah.
Right? Because if you pay the guy at McDonald's $1 more an hour, and you don't pay professionals $1 more an hour, the only people with $1 more an hour is actually the government, because they're just getting more tax dollars from the people that are now earning more money. Air quotes. Like they're not really earning more money because now the government is just going to tax them more.
Yeah.
But
no, I don't think it is $14.25. I believe the minimum wage in Ontario right now is at 14 even. But I could be wrong.
I don't know, man. I haven't gotten minimum wage since I worked in high school and like my first job.
I just did some interning and it is 14 even.
Okay. So Benny's being a Spurg in the Spurg chat saying that it's going into 14.25. Okay, so if it goes to 14.25, that's still go. My point remains the same. If you're a university student and you want to make some money to put towards your education, go get a job. But I think that's derailing us from the actual issue with the whole we charity business.
But seriously, go get a job.
But yeah, also go get a job. And also, we already have the Canada Summer Student Job Program.
Yeah, where we've
Which is like
previously paid people to
actual summer
protest through it,
jobs.
I believe.
Well, yeah, as long as they don't like work at a church, it's fine. Because then the church
Yeah.
has to affirm like gay butt sex.
Yeah.
I forget what the other stipulations were, but they couldn't be like the group couldn't be anti-abortion or anti-LGBTQ or anti something else.
Yeah.
And then they were eligible to become a recipient of the Canada Summer Jobs Program. But like Catholic Church was out because they're all like, yeah, about those homos, not so much. Although I guess that's less true now than it was last summer.
Yeah.
So in the last couple of days, week, a lot of things have come out around this. And originally, the Shiniest Ponies didn't seem to think it was that big of a deal. And yeah, his family was involved in it, but they never got any money for this. And then it turns out that Wee's charitable part of their business is available online. So you can look at all their financials. And we can see all the Trudeau family members that have received money from Wee in the last couple of years. Like his mother. His mother, who, for speaking at 28 Wee events between 2016 and 2020, received $312,000. Although another article, there's a discrepancy between like CBC and CTV. CBC reported it as 320,000, although I feel like the CBC might just be making some rounding errors because they had a good number of numbers that were slightly off, and it seemed to me that they were being regularly rounded rather than just using the actual number.
Seems like something they do.
Well, I think it's just lazy journalism is all it is. But
yeah.
In any event, we know for certain that Margaret Trudeau has received no less than $312,000 from her 28 Wee engagements in the last 4 years. I don't know how long she talks for, or maybe if she charges by the word, but man, that is not an insignificant amount of money.
Yeah. I learned a somewhat scary fact about Margaret Trudeau earlier today, and I feel like I must burden everybody with it.
Did you see that picture of her at Club 57 in New York? Is that?
Yeah. There's a photo of her where she's not wearing underpants, and you can see where Trudeau came from.
It was the 70s. You can see a lot of hair.
Yeah. She certainly didn't get his fabulous hair from her. That's all I'm saying.
Fair enough.
But yeah, you can Google that if you also need the eye bleach.
I'd rather not. With this, the other thing, there was a discrepancy. Wee has publicly admitted to an error in their billing and payment system that was discovered during an internal review that they were conducting, which I feel is like the brothers Kleiberger going, okay, somebody get the accountant on the phone, figure out how screwed we are. I feel like we're really screwed. Bud, are we really screwed? Oh yeah, bud, super screwed.
How can we get slightly less screwed? Yeah.
So they had discovered that $60,000 was given to Margaret Trudeau directly by the charity rather than through the Me to We Corporation. So Me to We Corporation had been paying in most cases the majority of the speaking engagements, and then the charity is just the charity, right? But the actual for-profit business was paying for the speakers at the various events the charity was holding.
So hold on, doesn't that lower their taxes because they would then have expenses?
Yes, it does. That would lower their taxes.
Weird. I thought it was only small business that are the ones that use it as a tax loophole type thing. Learn something new every day.
Every day. So they've got that. They've got $60,000 that was paid from the charity to Margaret Trudeau rather than through their for-profit corporation. And for some reason, this $60,000 that was paid was also not paid to Margaret through her speaking engagement service. Like they have a booker. Like it's not a PR firm, but there's an organization. There's a company that
I think it's called a pimp. You pay the pimp.
Oh, well, I mean, I guess you could do that. So normally the intermediary company that sets up all these speaking engagements receives a $20 commission for setting it up. Except these $60K that they accidentally gave to Trudeau's mom through some sort of error, totally honest, innocent error where the charity gave Trudeau's mom $60K, like free and clear. Definitely not an irregularity that should be further investigated at
For the
all.
Trudeau family, like $60K is pocket change anyway. So
well, I mean, you can't even buy a good Mercedes for that.
Yeah. You can certainly pay a few ethics violations out of that, though.
Well, yeah, at least 3. This will be the 3rd ethics investigation that Trudeau is under. But if I'm not mistaken, we've had 5 breaches of the Ethics Act. But this will be the 3rd investigation where he'll be found guilty and have to pay his $200 fee.
I hope he learns his lesson this time.
Well, he definitely said that after the Aga Khan Island incident with the free vacation that he had learned his lesson and he would not do this anymore, and he was very, very sorry.
Well, that's good.
And then when he got busted for blackface the 3rd time, he also apologized for the 3 incidents of blackface and said that it was insensitive, and he was very, very sorry, although that was not an ethics violation, to be fair.
And he did only apologize for the 3 that we knew about.
That's right. Only those 3 that we don't know about. We don't know how many more there have been.
Yeah.
He never apologized for elbowing the female MP in the titty, although that was not an ethics violation.
No.
He didn't apologize to Judy Wilson-Raybould for forcing her out of politics, although that was also not an ethics violation. But the reason that he did force her out of politics was an ethics violation, and he was found guilty of interfering in the SNC Lavalin affair. And he was fined his $200 for that one.
Yeah, I mean, like, going to jail, paying $200, it's just like a game of Monopoly. That's all it is.
So let's go through some of the other people that are involved in this. Idris Elba's girlfriend, Sophie Trudeau, received a one-time speaking honorarium of either $1,200 or $1,400, depending on which source you want to look at. CPZ,
weird. That's
CBC
2 members
CTV.
of the Trudeau family.
Yeah, his mom and his wife, both of his favorite women.
Weird.
Incidentally, also Idris Elba's favorite women.
And the entirety of the Rolling Stones.
Ayo. So she got that for a single engagement for a youth event in 2012 before Trudeau was party leader for the Liberals. And Sophie, as we've discussed previously on the show, also hosts a We-branded mental health podcast, and it is truly atrocious. I do not encourage you to listen to it. 0 out of 10. Would not recommend. It's very bad. Would you care to guess how many more Trudeau relatives we have on the list?
Ooh.
Let me rephrase that. How many brothers does Trudeau have that aren't dead? That was callous. That was unfair. I should not make light of that. That's unfair. But also, how many brothers does Trudeau still have?
1.
Because if you answered one, then 1 is on the list.
Well.
Alexander, aka Sasha Trudeau, received $40,000 for 8 speaking engagements in the 2017-2018 academic year. Let me do my best Billy Mays impression. But wait, there's more! Finance Minister Bill Morneau's daughters are also involved with We Charity. His daughter Claire is an event speaker, and her book has been heavily publicized through the Meet a We Corporation. And his adoptive daughter Grace, she's a travel booker, but it's okay. Her contract ends soon, so apparently she's on contract working there.
It's okay though, because Morneau is a conservative minister, right?
No, he's the Liberal finance minister, and his wife is the heir to the McCain's fortune.
Weird. Okay, so that's a bunch of people so far tied to the Liberal Party. Okay, just keeping track, right? Because someone needs to.
So, for Trudeau's and the finance minister, and everybody's favorite principal secretary, Jerry Butts. Our friend, and he's in the news under this one. He's back to being Gerald in the news now. Jerry's out. Gerald's back in.
Well, he's back in
Gotta be
favor.
professional.
Yeah.
So Jerry has been listed by We Charity as an outstanding partner and supporter. No idea what the hell that means, though. Like, absolutely no idea. But I do find it odd to list him.
Yeah.
So that's a thing.
Maybe he's just got a nice spot.
Seamus O'Regan, he's the Minister for Natural Resources. He's the honorary chair of Artbound. That's a charity that raises funds on behalf of We. How many more ministers do you think there are on the list? I mean, I guess it's unfair because you have the show notes, but also the answer is one. There's another minister on the list.
Weird.
So the finance minister, the Minister of Natural Resources, and also Melanie Jolanister, Minister of Economic Development and Official Languages. Although it's unclear exactly how, but she has been listed as being involved in We Charity. So that should be it, right?
Yeah, no.
But it's not.
Oh.
Trudeau's chief of staff, Katie Telford, was the co-founder of Artbound and is still involved in Artbound, the charity that fundraises on behalf of We Charity.
Why do you need, like, this is starting to say, like, you know, whenever you hear, like, about shady corporations and it's like, oh, there's this operating company that's then owned by this numbered company that's in turn owned, like, why would you need a charity to fundraise for a charity? Wouldn't the charity just do its own fundraising? It sounds like there's some sort of shady connection there so that they can, like, transfer money that's been donated into paying people's salaries or something like that when they don't really need to be paid anything because you're literally raising money for a charity that the charity could do itself.
It does seem rather odd, right?
Yeah.
But as of the time of this recording, these are all of the people in the Liberal government or in Trudeau's immediate family, which is effectively the Liberal government, that we know are involved in We Charity. The Prime Minister, his mother, his wife, his brother, 3 ministers, his principal secretary, or I guess former principal secretary, and his chief of staff. There's no way this is a conflict of interest, right? Like, that's definitely not a violation of Section 117. This is definitely not a violation of the Conflict of Interest Act. This is definitely not something that should be further investigated by the RCMP.
No, not even slightly. I mean, like, they were the only people that could administer this program, right? Like, Trudeau said so. He wouldn't lie, would he?
I mean, he's only lied about this particular thing on at least 2 occasions. Although he did bring up a thing about his mom that the media is being unfairly harsh on his mother, which I kind of get, but also, you're a political dynasty in Canada. You're literally the only political dynasty in Canada.
Yeah.
You deserve some public scrutiny. And if you do stupid things in public, you deserve to be ridiculed for it. So don't do things like take $60,000 in cash speaking fees from a questionable charity under the auspices of it being an error in billings and payments, and then don't tell everybody about it. It could be
don't not wear underwear when you're the Prime Minister's wife in a nightclub when you know people are taking photos of you.
Well, I mean, they might be into that. Or, I mean, maybe that's why Pierre beat her. I mean, not to make light of that, they had a really terrible relationship from what I understand. Like, the way that I understand it was there was, like, some domestic violence, and that's part of why they separated.
Yeah. But also, I mean, could you imagine being married to a Trudeau? Ugh.
All the hair product in your bathroom? How would you find anything?
And all those socks that you got to pair together? Ugh.
Well, that's what the nannies are for, right? Or the maids.
Oh, there's 2 of them. So many socks.
So many socks. Well, Sophie's not going to do it. She's busy hosting her podcast. She hasn't got time to pair up the socks.
No, interested in something else.
So we do have another statement from another minister on the subject, though, because We Charity has backed out of this agreement now. The brothers Kleiberger have said that they have received no money on over this, and the past weeks have been very, very hard on them. Well, you tried to screw every Canadian taxpayer out of nearly $1 billion. You deserve for it to be a little hard.
Yeah.
Actually, I think you deserve a lot more than just a hard couple of weeks, because you might have to like lay off some staff from your questionable charity.
And then your charity's charity.
When the corruption is so deep, you need a charity to hide the corruption.
Yeah. Truly living clown world.
I mean, it's like it's almost meta. It's like it's almost a joke that like the charity is so corrupt they needed another charity to launder the money better. It's like,
yeah. Although, I mean,
so one of our
talking about people that were involved with it, should we also talk about the other connection?
Yes.
With, a certain conservative candidate and his affiliation.
Well, I was going to talk about our favorite MP, but we can I guess second favorite MP, but we can come back to her. Let's talk about the man with the eyes that are too close together. That's right.
Yeah.
The guy that's going to lose the conservative leadership race, Mr. Peter MacKay.
Yeah, who we've
His
accused
wife,
of being a liberal on many occasions.
Wait, somebody's accused us of being liberal?
No. We've accused him of being liberal.
Oh, well, yeah, I mean, that's... So I got like a knock-knock joke. What's blue on the outside and red on the inside?
Peter MacKay?
The guy with the eyes that are too close together. Yeah, I don't trust the man as far as I can throw him, but I trust his wife even less, because she has got some questionable human rights ideas. I don't want the wife of the future prime minister, or somebody who could be the future party leader, the future prime minister. Like, I take that back. I don't want any public official's wife, significant other, whatever. They could be gender reversal, whatever. Female politician with a husband. I don't care. I don't want anyone in public offices' personal business to be in favor of like repatriating ISIS fighters at the cost of taxpayers. Because there's no way you can't make that not a conflict of interest. Because if your wife is involved in repatriating and rehabilitating ISIS fighters, there's no way you can't not be biased on that issue. Also, I don't want you to repatriate ISIS fighters to my country.
Yeah, the only way that I'm okay with it is if we're repatriating them to try them for treason, of which the death penalty still exists for. That I'm okay with.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, I mean, it's just easier to just shoot them over there while they're still the enemy.
Right. I mean, preferable, right?
Yeah.
So I obviously have qualms with Mr. MacKay and his family business, but his wife has also been involved in We Charity as a speaker at a number of events, and he has also attended a number of events, although I don't believe he's ever spoken at them.
Yeah, but I mean, it's 99% liberals, and then you get this guy that's supposed to be conservative, but here he is.
Who's hanging out with a bunch of liberals at a liberal cause, raising funds for liberals.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really don't think Peter MacKay is a good choice for the conservative leadership, but that's a different podcast.
Yeah, but, somewhat relevant because he's tied up in this whole We Charity thing.
Well, even if it's like secondhand, so.
Yeah.
I don't know. He has really nice things to say about the brothers Kleiberger. Well, I'll read the tweet. The tweet has been taken down, but don't worry, the internet never forgets. Extremely proud of Nazanin, who joined Kareem Abdul-Jabbar plus others to speak We Day Ottawa before 16,000 enthusiastic participants. She delivered a pause, empowering message for next gen of leaders. The Kleiberger Bros plus We movement are remarkable Canadian force for good. Getting past all of the internet speak and nonsense short forms that they use on Twitter, why did Mr. McKay feel the need to delete this from his Twitter timeline?
Yeah, if he's so proud of it.
And why did Nazanin not feel the need to delete it from her timeline?
I don't know. I guess, people are dumb.
Well, we have a response from someone at the Peter McKay campaign, although how accurate this is, I don't know. You can't believe everything you read on the internet, but I want to believe this one. So, Nazanin McKay has endured significant inappropriate attention from dark corners of the web throughout this campaign. Someone on the campaign, in an abundance of caution, decided to delete the tweet from the Peter McKay account. Mrs. McKay herself has not deleted her tweet. Well, that's kind of telling. So somebody on his media team deleted the account out of an abundance of caution because they were worried that his wife was going to receive even more inappropriate attention. But she hasn't taken it off of her Twitter.
ISIS people.
Well, that's on there too, but I mean specifically, this is about the being extremely proud of the We Ottawa thing that his wife was involved in.
They're worried about this for his campaign. She obviously is not worried about the campaign and is going to continue to do whatever she wants to do because, good for her to do that. But you be you. But yes, I think it's telling.
But you go be you over there because I feel like this is like ripe for conflict of interest stuff. Because how can you separate what your family's philanthropical or
especially when they're obviously so proud of it that they won't even delete a tweet. So they're certainly not going to silence their views if they won't even delete a tweet that could be potentially harmful to you getting elected.
So, yeah, I guess lest anyone think that we were just here to bash the Liberal Party and Justin. I mean, we're here to do that too, but we're equal opportunity bashers. We'll bash any politician. Yeah. Sometimes we'll bash them twice.
No, good measure.
Well, anything worth bashing is worth bashing a second time.
Yeah. And when it comes to a beating of a politician, you can't beat that dead horse enough sometimes.
We really need to find a way to bring back tar and feathering, so make politicians afraid again.
Yes. Or just eat them like the Dutch.
Well, they did that to one prime minister.
That's more
it's not
than we've done.
Realm of possibilities for us to do it to one of our prime ministers, but
yeah.
What would you do with all the hair, though?
Flamin' warfare.
All right. So one of our least favorite MPs, Bradish Chagger, is involved in this now. She's currently the Minister of Inclusion and Youth.
To keep making up these ridiculous positions.
She's been the minister of every nonsensical thing that's ever been a part of our cabinet under the Trudeau.
Where's the Minister of Inclusion reaching out to the firearms community to make us feel more included?
No, that's not the kind of inclusion they're going for. So.
Well, then that's a garbage name for that position. Should be the Minister of Exclusion.
Well, garbage name for a garbage position for a garbage person.
Yeah, the shoe fits.
So, Ms. Chagger is looking to Service Canada to now run the program at some sort of reduced and yet undisclosed cost. It will not be a $900 million program. According to the
$900 million program to begin with.
Well, it's apparently it's going to be less now, but they don't know how much. They don't know how many people applied to the program, although we know when it was going to be under We Charity because we had a number for that. We knew how many thousands of students had applied. We knew how many thousands of teachers were involved in administering it. But But now that it's not going to We Charity, it's going to be operating at some sort of reduced budget, but we don't know what that will be yet. Apparently, the government, I guess, the Minister of Inclusion and Youth, is trying to figure out what the program's going to look like now.
Yeah.
Now that the government will be running it.
Yeah.
Well, Ministry of Funny Walks is always a good time.
Yeah, it's going to be her next position anyway.
So I'm not really sure why Service Canada couldn't have run this in the first place, and I'm even more confused with why Service Canada is doing it at a different budget. Because if We Charity isn't taking any of the money, and we needed $900 million to run this youth summer program to give them money towards their education costs, and now it's being administered by an existing government organization, shouldn't it just be at a direct transfer of funds? Like, instead of giving $900 million to we just give $900 million to Service Canada and tell them to do this.
One would think, but like, if We Charity was literally the only people that could do this program, would the program have not died when they stopped being able? So
herein lies the rub, right? There's one of two things is going on. Either We Charity is not the only group of people in the face of the planet that could do this, and Service Canada can do it. I question whether or not Service Canada can do much of anything, but let's, like, benefit of the doubt. Hypothetically, let's say Service Canada could do it.
Yeah.
Well, then there's no need to have given it to we in the first place, so why are we looking at giving it to an extra governmental agency when an intergovernmental agency could have just done it in the first place?
And how can they do it for less money?
Well, and that's the other bit, is secondly, why is it going to be at a reduced budget?
Right.
Is it because Trudeau's family friends are not getting kickbacks as a result now because it's not going to this extra governmental agency? I mean, I'm not accusing the Liberal government of preferential treatment and maybe bribing and coercion and preferential contracts for their friends, but I'm saying, like, hypothetically, seems like that could be something that's going on.
I mean, that would explain some of that missing money.
Well, I don't see how you can do this. I don't see how you can say that either We Charity is the only group that can do this, or Service Canada can do it for less.
Yeah.
Both of those can't be true. Like, it can't. Both of those cannot be true.
Yeah. If anything, it would be We Charity is the only people that could do it for less money. That would make sense. Well, and this is where we get into all of the. This is where we get into all of the scandalous pieces now that we have the background more or less covered out. So Trudeau and Morneau have both publicly apologized for not recusing themselves from the cabinet decision to use We Charity for the Canada Summer Grant Program. I would like to know why the rest of the ministers that are involved have not apologized for not recusing themselves. Because remember, Finance Minister, Minister of Natural Resources, Economic Development and Official Languages, and the Prime Minister were all involved in this. How many cabinet people are there now?
I believe there are 12 members of cabinet, but let me intern real quick. Oh, there's a lot of people in the cabinet. Oh man, it's like literally every politician is a member of cabinet. What the hell? Okay, this is a little silly. I don't even know how many there is. There's at least 20 here.
Okay.
So obviously the Prime Minister, the Deputy Prime Minister.
So even if we say 20 people, but if 4 out of 20 are directly involved with the charity, that's still a significant portion of the people that vote on that. Right? Like that's not a small number. You know, it's not like 4 out of 1,000 people where those 4 people couldn't sway a vote somewhere.
I think the count is 37. It's really hard to count because they just have all their pictures on the PM website. Like, so it's just on like the Prime Minister of Canada website.
So if 4 out of 37, that's 10%, roughly.
Roughly, but I mean, any amount is too much. And
yeah, but I mean, 10% is a significant number of people to sway a vote one way or the other.
Oh, certainly, I don't disagree with that. But like, it's the positions that they have, because it's not the Minister of like Northern Affairs or the Minister of Fisheries or the Minister of Agriculture. It's the Prime Minister, then the Minister of Finance.
Yeah, 2 very.
And then I'm not
positions.
really as concerned about Seamus and Melanie. They're like, okay, so one's the Minister of Natural Resources and one's the Minister of Economic Development. But like the Prime Minister and the Minister of Finance, like those are pretty high profile politicians.
Yeah. And I mean, even if We Charity was legitimately the only people that could do this, right?
Hypothetically,
then,
sure, go on.
Yeah. Then everyone would have to vote for them anyways. So like them stepping back and saying, I have personal ties to this, I can't be involved in this decision, would have had no impact and it would have been voted for anyways. But at least it would have been done honestly.
Well, I think that's putting a lot more faith in the government than I have. I don't trust them to act honestly, because if they did, Trudeau wouldn't be on his 6th ethics violation.
Well, yeah.
Or his 3rd investigation.
Yeah. But I mean, like, even if they were the only people to do this, they should still have stepped away from making that decision, because that is the correct and ethical thing to do.
Well, and you know what kind of seems to me about the whole thing with this? I mean, aside from all the nonsense with the Liberals, the part that actually, like, that I'm really annoyed about is Pierre Poilievre and the Conservative Party. They sent a letter to the RCMP, but that's all that they're doing, is they're asking the RCMP to investigate. They're not calling for a resignation. They're not trying to prorogue Parliament. And Poilievre has, and I'm going to paraphrase what Pierre had to say, but Poilievre has said that this is not an issue worth dissolving the current government over. Like, if this isn't, what is? I mean, I think part of that is the timing of this. Obviously, the Conservative Party is not in a position to run another election. And strategically, it would not make sense to do that, because if the Liberals win another election, if an election were called right now, the Liberals, I'm sure, would win it. And I feel like they have a good chance of winning a majority government right now, just because of all of the CERB benefits and the state of the economy and the COVID shutdowns and everything else. So I feel like strategically, not forcing an election right now, solid plan. But the Conservative Party position that all they wanted was for We Charity not to administer this, and that's not happening now, and that's good enough and they're happy, that is not going far enough. You need to take the government to task on this, or the governing party to task on this, the majority party. You need to take them to task. This is not acceptable. This is not, we expect better from our politicians.
Yeah.
I don't,
it's
I really don't know what to do with this, because don't break the law. Like that.
Sometimes that's really hard, though.
Don't break the law. If you're going to be the prime minister, you're not allowed to continually break the law.
Well, but he is, though, because he just gets a $200 slap on the wrist.
At worst, and he has to apologize. And he says he's really sorry and he's not going to do it again. And he keeps doing that. Well, and I want to talk a little bit about those things, too. So, the outcome of this. The Conservatives have sent an open letter asking the Royal Canadian Mounted Police to launch a criminal probe into this scandal. And there are 2 committees in Parliament right now that are 2 studies by 2 different committees that have been started in Parliament about this issue. And all of that amounts to sweet jack shit. The RCMP is not commenting that they're going to investigate. I don't expect that they're going to investigate. Why would they? Brenda Ludwicki, or however you say her last name, the commissioner of the RCMP, was appointed by Trudeau and is a family friend. So why would the head of the RCMP tell the RCMP to investigate the prime minister when they already have close ties? And why would it be over this thing and not over any of the other nonsense things he's done, like, oh, I don't know, SNC Lavalin, for example?
Yeah, I mean, in this things, I would say that the whole SNC thing is worse than this. Not that this is a good thing, but yeah, if he didn't go to jail and there was no investigation even in that, there certainly isn't going to be in this.
No, I don't think there's going to be at all.
But there should be.
Well, I think you're right. There should be, but there's not going to be. Even the NDP is not on side about this. The NDP, who has backed every nonsense thing the Liberals have done recently, Jagmeet Singh, the very naive, inexperienced NDP leader, has called the revelations of the paid speaking fees for the Trudeau families, quote, disturbing.
Oof.
Harsh language from the NDP.
Yeah.
There's also
that's all right. We'll give him another couple of sick days and it'll be
fine. Don't push it. He might do it. There's also been rather scathing comments from the NDP's ethics critic, Charlie Angus. I feel like it's Groundhog Day. We've seen so many instances where the Prime Minister gets caught, seems outraged that anyone would question him, and then as the scandal deepens, then he apologizes. And I mean, yeah, it's
the only thing that outrages me about that statement is that he would dare compare Trudeau to Bill Murray.
True. Nobody messes with Bill Murray, man.
Yeah. But he's not wrong. It's exactly what it is.
Well, it does seem like that. And I mean, Angus went on to say that this is one of the stupidest scandals in Canadian history. And I have to agree with him because, again, like, this seems like, and I don't like agreeing with the NDP, but like, I'll give them credit when they're right, they're right. This seems like it was tailor-made specifically for We Charity. We Charity, the Trudeau government said they're the only people that can administer this program. It's all people that his family is involved with. It's other top-ranking Liberal officials and their families that are involved with this. It's almost like all these people know each other, and it's a program to get their friends to have money so that they can get money themselves. Right? Like, I'm sure they weren't hiring Margaret Trudeau for her lovely speaking voice and her opinions on mental health.
Yeah.
I'm sure they were doing this in order to get the contract. So it's like a little quid pro quo, right?
Yeah, we'll throw a couple of shekels your way, and then you'll throw some our way, and it's all good.
The other thing that's come out is not only am I agreeing with the members of the NDP, I'm also agreeing with the Bloc.
Zut alors.
Yves Blanchette said that we can't. Je suis un ananas. J'habite dans la maison de Pamplemousse.
Yeah, something like that.
So the Bloc Québécois leader, Yves Blanchette, said that we contract must be investigated. Trudeau should step aside from the role of Prime Minister for a few months. Let me get the quote here. For a few months, I think the Prime Minister must step aside and leave the responsibilities to the Deputy Prime Minister, because for the time being, he cannot be considered as being qualified to keep the job. I question whether or not Trudeau was ever qualified to have the job, but like, let's give Yves the benefit of the doubt here.
I seem to recall a phrase that was used at one time. He's just not ready.
No, he's not. And I mean, even the Bloc
still
is
not.
now saying,
even though he's been doing the job for a term, he's still not ready.
Well, doing the job poorly and in repeated scandal and ethics violation.
Yeah.
So I think that's everything that I had that I wanted to talk about with the We thing. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on that we didn't cover?
No, I mean, I think that's Like, I mean, it's such a simple thing. Like, he could have just said, you know what? My family has personally benefited from this. I think it's the right choice for whatever reason, but I'm going to leave that up to you guys. I'm going to just step away. Like, it would have been so easy to avoid this, especially when, like, he's been told time and time again that this is exactly what he needs to do. And yet here we are.
Yeah, here we are, man. Like, this is the state of clown world 5 months into the COVID pandemic and Parliament being shut down and the most debt we've ever had, and now we're seeing again more scandals from the ruling Liberal Trudeau dynasty. That there's a set of rules for them and there's a set of rules for everybody else, and when they get caught, they apologize and they say that it won't happen again, and they're very, very sorry. And I really think that he's only sorry that he got caught. I don't think he's sorry for the actions. I don't think he's sorry for giving preferential treatment to his friends.
Yeah, I don't even think he's sorry for having to pay $200. I think he would gladly continue to pay $200 if it meant that he didn't get caught.
Right?
Yeah.
So let's remind people, if you don't have a big luau t-shirt, I keep calling them t-shirts. They're not really t-shirts. They're button-ups, but button-downs. Whichever order you start in. Use the link in the show notes. Go to Amazon, buy yourself an official Big Luau shirt. We get affiliate profit from when you use our affiliate link. So I want to thank everybody that's bought books or Big Luau shirts or literally anything on Amazon, because if you click through our link and then buy something, we get a little percentage of that, and I appreciate it. There's also petitions. Go sign the petitions as always. Gavin, where can everyone find you on the internet?
You can find me on the grams at urbex_GTA.
All right. If you've listened this long, you deserve a discount code. Go to ragnaroktactical.ca. Use the discount code Patriot at checkout. We've got body armor back in stock, and the discount code is not insignificant. Also, free $10 shipping. Yes, even on body armor, even though it's heavy as shit. So, make my kids' college fund go down, or really, if you buy body armor, the college fund goes up anyway. So, help me put my kid through college. Buy some body armor. Go to ragnaroktactical.ca. If you have feedback about the show, shoot us an email, feedback@canadianpatriotpodcast.com. Feedback shows right now are the first midweek show of the month. That's sort of where we're doing those. Yeah. We might change it. We'll see how it goes. I'm kind of liking this format right now. We get enough to fill up a show.
Book club is coming up again.
Right, book club is coming up. This month's book is Starship Troopers.
Yeah. So you still got time.
It wasn't skill testing. I was building suspense. So yeah, go get yourself a copy of Starship Troopers, or if you're like me, go get the copy that you've had since the 9th grade and go read it for the 100th time.
Yeah, you still got some time to do that, to get up, because that'll be like the last midweek show of the month. At least that's where we're trying to aim for that.
Yeah, book club's the last midweek show. Listener feedback's the first midweek show. We may or may not take another midweek show off next month. We'll see how I feel. Because on like the deep dive episodes like this is a lot of prep. Like, this is like a full day's worth of work for me to call all of this information from all of these news sources, to condense it down to like 45 minutes of Gavin and I talking smack about the government.
Yeah. Distill it down to its essence.
I don't know. Maybe we should start doing a deep dive show where I just do all the prep and I don't share it with you, and then I can ask you how many people you think are involved, and we can actually have like a guessing game.
Implying that's not what we did this evening.
Well, I know you have access to the show notes because I saw that you were reading them. But I guess I shouldn't assume that you're actually doing anything more than just the first line where the link to the Hangout is.
Yeah, I need to see your face so I can judge your visual cues as to when to talk or not.
Yeah, no, I totally get that. I look at the screen too to see your dapper self. Obviously, there's so much testosterone in the room, we couldn't fit Rod Giltack in. Between Gavin being as handsome as he is and me being me, there's no room for Rod.
Yeah.
Maybe next week, buddy. Maybe next week. Try and get Rod Giltack on the show. For all of our listeners out there in podcast land, I would like to remind you that you are the true North, strong and full of ethics violations.